Hello, playful eco warriors, and welcome to another episode of Climate for Fun, the podcast that turns climate change into a laughing matter. It is Antonio Salituro, climate scientist, writer, and comedian, wannabe comedian. I'm thrilled to have a team of experts on sustainable tourism with me today. Welcome, Giuseppe, Vipin, and Alex, and thanks for joining me.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you very much for inviting us.
Thank you, Antonio.
Thanks, everyone. Are you ready to poke fun at climate change?
Definitely.
That's fine.
It's a controversial question. I agree. But let's crack on anyway, right? Okay. We'll go through some questions. So, folks, on 27 on September, last 27 of September, we celebrate the World Tourism Day 2024. And this year concept was tourism and peace. So that made me think of a motto, right? Less air raid, more Airbnb. But then I thought, I changed my mind. Nowadays, saying more Airbnb pisses people off even more than saying more war, right? So jokes aside, how do you think tourism can help achieve peace?
People, they actually travel different places. They come across the culture of the local people, the native culture, customs, traditions, food habits, dress up, festivals, celebrations. And what happens is that kind of remove any kind of barrier between two different people from two different backgrounds.
That's true.
So that creates some kind of interest, some kind of respect for each other. And that removes any kind of stereotype or any kind of misunderstanding among those people.
Yeah. Knowledge.
At the same time, exactly.
Cool. Thanks, Vipin. No, I mean, I totally agree because, traveling and knowing different cultures is the secret. I mean, is the antidote to war and conflict. So is there anything else, anything you want to add, Alessandro and Giuseppe, at all, or should we?
Well, I think that tourism, because it tends to employ a lot of people from different backgrounds, from different avenues, from different walks of life, different expertise, and put a bunch of different people together into the same place, like in a hotel. I think it should really give a really strong signal to those governments and at war with each other that actually people can work together, can be together, can share the same space together quite successfully. And, that should be the catalyst of creating a new environment for different cultures to be able to share the same spaces rather than segregation. We live in a world where we all talk about EDI and inclusion and whatnot, but actually war is about separation and exclusion and power, centric power. We should all be, we only have this one spot in the universe to live on, and we should make the best out of it, and I think tourism can certainly support that concept.
Yeah, tell North Korea to that. That's a big exception to the rule, but I mean.
Well, they live in the world within their world, within our world, I suppose.
Oh, that's crazy, isn't it? Anyway, we can move on to a bit funnier thing. So you probably heard about the recent news in Barcelona, right? Where residents shot tourists with water pistol this time to protest against the shortages of affordable housing driven by over-tourism, Airbnb, or whatever you want to call it. Clearly, we are still in hot waters, right? So how do we get out of this?
I'll take on this one.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, the sustainable tourism is a problem that can be solved similar to how we tackle environmental sustainability.
Yeah.
And there are majorly two ways of tackling the problem. One is through the cap and trade system that has its pros and cons. And the other one is the pay as you pollute system. So I think these two tools are the ones that the cities, most of all, and nations and countries they can implement to improve the situation. Of course, there is a lot to do, but we see that there are some policies that there is some hope. There is some hope along the line. So yeah, there are some protests problems, but at the same time, we need to be positive, and hopefully this will be solved with local policies implemented by the government.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, speaking of policies, still staying in Barcelona, right? So the mayor proposed to ban Airbnb and other short-term rentals by the end of 2028. So, I mean, before asking you if you agree or not, so from 2029 onwards, right? I was thinking, will people have to be paid as much as Lewandowski to afford a hotel over there, or what do you think?
It's going to be more and more expensive for sure. So it poses the problem of affordability and inclusivity of tourism. But on the other side, it's very difficult to strike a balance between environmental sustainability and social inclusivity. So it's a bit of a difficult one to solve this one.
I mean, recently I actually published one research article about the same situation Airbnb is creating in terms of the local community perceptions, how the residents are affected because of Airbnb in one of the Central European countries, and the findings were really startling. People they were kind of horrified because of the all kind of unregulated mess which is this Airbnb is creating. So Barcelona is not the only one.
Okay.
I think one of the things that, for example, the mayor of Venice introduced in 2024 was a city tax for short-term visitors.
Yeah.
And I think that could be applied to Barcelona. The problem is that if you get rid of all of the short-term rentals, what happens is only long-term rentals will be available. So that means that you're going to have to take a month off on holiday. Who's going to go to Barcelona for a month? What are you going to do in Barcelona for a month? I mean, you're going to go up and down the Ramblers for a month? I mean, come on,
I mean, you could, but it's just the money that's missing there. I mean,
but it's also going to become very boring. It takes away the fun of tourism, isn't it? And,
I mean,
I think Airbnb and short-term rentals really contribute to the microeconomy of the local population. I understand the problem with raising the rental affordability for the locals, but then again, there needs to be a balance, and that could be with the introduction of short-term tax for short-term visitors.
Yeah,
I mean, it works for. In Venice, it brought in enough money in a space of 6 months to start rebuilding and readdressing some of the critical areas of maintenance for the city. And if you consider Venice being in a real predicament because of is actually a city on water. Barcelona is currently is a little bit underwater, but hopefully they resolve that problem. But it could be one way of supporting the local economy and by short term. Tax.
So this Venice point led me to the next question. So because there might be an unexpected solution to overtourism, so climate change. You heard that right. So during hot months, some people are already preferring a Coolcation in Stockholm to a cremation in Santorini. So I'm not sure what the alternative to an underwater Venice would be. But anyway, how do you think global warming will affect the tourism industry? Because he's already affecting it.
I think the problem will not be much for the industry, because being a very flexible industry, at the end of the day, tourism will find a solution. The market will regulate itself. The big problem for me will be for the local communities that will be affected and displaced, and a huge problem for the local culture. So at the end of the day, I think we should really think about what kind of quality of life are we providing for the citizens but that's a bigger one, I think, than even bigger one than sustainable tourism. But everything is connected at the end of the day. So I don't know what's the alternative to Venice. There are many new Venices around the world. So at the end of the day, they will be able to go to Vegas or to many other similar copies of Venice in China and Middle East.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
You know, the problem for the local.
Precisely, I agree with Dr. Giuseppe that obviously one of the impacts of this climatic change is going to be the rise of the alternative destinations in any case for people, or maybe changes in their perceptions about going to the places which are more kind of eco-friendly or maybe, you know, environmental conscious. So that, yes, of course, they can enjoy the destination as a tourist also. At the same time, there is a kind of an effort and initiative about the preservation of the local culture and local environment at the same time.
Yeah, because obviously. Oh, yeah, go for it.
Now, it is interesting, you know, what Dr. Vipin was saying, that, you know, about hotels and structures that are looking at how to maximize that. But the challenge is, I'm doing still a research, and one of the cases I came across is a purely reclaimed and sustainable hotel that was built in Italy, and unfortunately that one is not having the best of times, because despite the almost zero emission, because it's all of the furniture, all of the inside structure of the hotel is actually comes from reclaimed wood, etc. People prefer to go to 4- and 5-star hotels still. So we've got the two divides of what we would like the tourism to look like, but what we then prefer to go to is something completely different. So that's going to have a real impact. It's going to have a real impact into what the tourism will look like when we talk about climate change. Because although people talk about wanting to eat healthier, wanting to be healthier, wanting to net zero emission, but then we all go to 4- and 5-star hotels. So there's a bit of
I guess it's a bit of a cultural problem, because we will need to tune our approach, our perspective to to things. I suppose. But anyway, good point. Okay, cool. Shall we move to more positive initiatives? So Copenhagen, we are in Denmark, launched a program called Copenpay. Basically, tourists who travel by public transport or bike will be rewarded with perks such as free coffee and museum admission, etc. Perhaps not the best name from the marketing point of view, but I think Copenpay, we pay back, right?
Yeah, definitely not the right name. I don't know who's the marketing, the head of marketing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a joke behind this name.
Perhaps,
probably some Nordic humor, sense of humor. But I think it's apart from jokes, is a way, as we said before, it goes into those local policies that can contribute to redistribute the negative externalities of tourism to the local community. So I would love to see more of these initiatives. And there is also another one that's been recently implemented in Pompeii, in Italy.
Oh, really? Oh.
It's an interesting one where they are trying to cap the number of tourists. So a slightly different one, but it's good to see diversity in approaches. And I think there is no one size fits all. So I'm very welcoming and happy when I see all these different types of solutions, different areas.
Yeah, I find it quite interesting that in Copenhagen they offer you free coffee and museum admissions. It very much depends on what type of tourist you are. I mean, if you like tea, you're a bit stuck. And if you're going for fun, not for museums, you're also a bit stuck. So it very much depends on what's the attraction of Copenhagen. I haven't been there, so I think it's going to be my next destination to try out the coffee and museums.
I just mentioned a couple of examples, but I'm pretty sure they will implement a variety of attraction. Yeah,
it'd be interesting.
Yeah, no.
I cannot see myself cycling all the way to Copenhagen from here.
Well, no. I mean, cycling all around the city. I'm assuming
that's
what
right.
they
Okay,
meant.
okay.
That's what they meant. Again, once you go there, so basically, well, let's say that you take a flight, and then once you're there, instead of renting a car or whatever, you know, you use public transport.
Yeah,
I guess that's the idea. Yeah.
I think in terms of my opinion, I think this Copenhagen is more like a part of their promotional campaign. They want to kind of take a jackpot in a way, like, for example, they want to make sure that, yes, of course, a message is being passed on to the tourists in terms of branding, that, yes, people can easily memorize that which destination this kind of opportunity or this kind of discount is available, or this kind of facilities available for them.
Yeah. Again, coming back to the name, you know, Copenhagen. Yeah, okay, it could mean it depends on the interpretation. It means like Copenhagen pay you, or that you pay in Copenhagen. I mean, you know, it's a bit interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Is it you know, well, okay, depending on the point of view. But yeah, good initiative anyway. So last question. So a Japanese town came up with another funny way of coping with mass tourism. Countless people were invading a narrow road and causing traffic jams just to take a picture of the famous Mount Fuji, right? So local authorities built an anti-selfie wall. So I wonder if they made the tourists pay for it, like, you know, someone else more famous. Anyway, what's your view on that? What's your view on that?
This was a really funny one, Antonio, when I came across this one. This is a little bit like, we have a way of saying in Italy, you're going to chop off your male parts to take revenge on your wife. So in this case, what they're doing, they're trying to get rid of probably the most interesting, you know, attraction of the city, just to get rid of the tourists. So this was a really
I agree with that. I think it's more like a humorous way of kind of projecting the things. So probably at some point they wanted to kind of regulate the crowd, kind of the lot of disruption which it might have been causing to the local people. But at the same time, they are very mindful that they don't want to keep the tourists away also because of the economic contribution as well. So rather than showing that they are taking a very high-handed approach, they probably thought in a way, let's take a different approach and a more humorous way, which can easily strike with the locals and at the same time with the tourists as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, sometimes we do, governments and local authorities do something which is rather unexpected, just to curb the number of tourists. But equally, there are areas around the world where local authorities and governments are trying to attract tourism and failing miserably because their approach is not really, how can I say, is not really conducive to bringing business in. And I see in my local town where I live, we've got one statue here, which is quite representative of, and it will be in many people's memory because we have the statue of Pocahontas here. And everybody thinks that Pocahontas was a cartoon in Disney, and that's what I thought when I first saw it. But actually, the individual actually existed, really existed, and died in the town where I currently live in. And there's a statue of it, but they're not doing anything about it. They're not really promoting that. And that could be quite an attraction for people to come and take a look at it.
Yeah.
Instead, they've actually put it right behind the building because it was actually not really, it was in the middle of a field, and they put it behind a building at the moment so that that field could be used for something else. Right. So it's a bit of a strange thing, you know. It's some local authorities are not really pro or understand how tourism really works.
Okay, I mean, you know, can I actually raise this mission in this podcast to, you know, promote Pocahontas, you know, go make it go make Pocahontas great again or something like that.
Yeah, let's get Pocahontas go viral.
Shall we I just coined this new slogan, right? Okay, so are you gonna help me to do that? So
Absolutely, yeah.
please
I think we should.
remind, well, obviously I know the city, so yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
not many people know it, but yeah, we'll make Pocahontas great again. That's one of my goals. Okay, or make Gravesend great again. It sounds a bit too much, I guess. But yeah, but Pocahontas is more funny. Anyway, okay, so I think we are now. Oh, if you have any other jokes that you can think of about climate change or sustainable tourism, please go ahead. If not, we'll switch to the
Yeah,
quiz time.
one funny thing about climate change and sustainability, I was thinking, you know, there is a bit of hypocrisy behind sustainability, and what's funny to me is when people recycle and put the same amount of wastes in just different bags.
Yeah, I mean, indeed, it can be. Yeah, I mean, it is funny if you think about it, but especially
And then,
with.
and then probably it's just the outside of the container that changed, and then the bag still is the same color as the other container of the recycled waste.
I mean, it's gonna be even funnier if in some place they put together everything, you know, at the end of the day.
Well, you know, once I was looking. I don't know if near where you are, you have this bottle banks where you have to recycle all the bottles, and here where I live, there's bottle banks, and in each one it says green glass, clear glass, brown glass, and in different cones, you know, and you spend hours in trying to divide the various bottles, and then the lorry comes along picking up all this glass, and they put it all together. And I thought, hang on a minute, let me ask a question. I said, why do we spend so much time in dividing it by color? And the guy driving the lorry said, I don't really know. When we melt it down, it's all the same color anyway. So what's the point? I don't understand. But we all still do it. It's bizarre.
That's so weird.
In terms of, I can also share something with you. I mean, sometimes it amuses me a lot when we talk about these, you know, international leaders. They are going to those global summits and then so vigorously kind of promoting carbon emissions, climatic changes, environmental protection, so on and so forth. And themselves, they are traveling through chartered flights from one place to other places. They think people are stupid. They don't understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So, guys, we are in quiz time now. So, ready to test yourself. Who wants to be climate aware? It's gonna be. You need to answer 3 multiple choice questions. But sorry to disappoint you, but it's only for the glory. Yeah, it's no money involved. Right. So, first question. Okay, what is the carbon footprint of staying in an Airbnb for a week? Equal to option A, charging nearly 3,700 smartphones. Option B, being charged nearly £3,700 for your stay. Option C, being charged by nearly 3,700 residents protesting against Airbnb. What you go for?
A.
You say A, Vipin, right?
A.
Alessandro and Giuseppe?
I would tend to go for A, but
A.
Dr. G, I would be inclined to say yes, it's A, but I kind of fancy the idea of
Which one?
C. I really want to see what these 3,700 people look like.
Yeah, that's a very nice picture, I think. You know,
And see how fast one can
if you're looking it from a
God,
drone from above, you know, like, but if you're in the streets, probably not. But yeah, he was A. But thanks,
I'll
Alessandro,
tell
for
you what
giving
I'll
us.
do. I'll stand on the balcony of my Airbnb watching the whole thing unfold, shall I?
Yeah, why not? Why not? Capitol Hill assault. Sounds like, you know. Anyway, second question. You ready? So,
Ready.
last June, a little village in the north of Italy was isolated by floods. So, who said we'll bring tourists there by helicopter? Right? So, option A, Giuseppe Cantafio, after his helicopter landed in a hemp field. Option B, Vipin Nadda, after listening to the Giuseppe Cantafio speaking in Italian all night long. Option C, Daniela Santanché, Italy's Minister of Tourism.
Well, we're gonna have to go for option C.
C.
I'm
I
afraid.
I wish I would have said it, but I didn't have a brilliant idea like this. It's the first time. It sounds really, you know, when you say thinking outside of the box.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Well, with what? This Daniela Santanché or you landing in an hemp field? Yeah, but I must admit it was C, the right answer. Anyway, last question, right? What is heatflation? Option A, the rising price of aircon caused by extreme heat. Option B, the rising price of food caused by extreme heat. Option C, the rising price of Coolcations caused by extreme heat. That's a very difficult one, actually. I don't even remember the correct answer, but
It could be all of the above, but we don't have the option.
I think so, to be
No right
honest.
answer.
What do you think?
Definitely, I agree with Giuseppe.
Well, I think it's option C, but I kind of fancy option B as well because food prices are going through the roof, and it's not necessarily caused by one single element, and heatflation does have some kind of input into that as well. So I would say either B or C or both.
I mean, to be honest, I'll have to double check this because I don't remember the correct answer. But as far as I remember, I think it should have been A. Because heat, aircon, you know, that there is all the problem of a lot of people, like, you know, the cooling poverty. Have you heard about cooling poverty? So people who can't afford buying an aircon, you know, and then that's I think is most likely is gonna be A. But I must admit that the other two make sense as well. But that's the end of this Climate for Fun episode. Guys, thank you so much for your fun contribution.
Thanks so much, Antonio, for inviting us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks
Thank you for involving us.
Thanks. And thanks to everyone who tuned in today. Next episode will be in a month or so. In the meantime, remember to fight climate change one life at a time. Ciao.